Hey everybody, Devin Greer here from Linux Reviewed. It's been a while, most definitely. I'm hoping to get back into it, and there's really no good excuse. It's just been busy. I'm a full-time college student. I work. My wife works. She's a full-time college student. We have 2 kids. So I think, though we've worked out something more Sundays, I can get this kind of time put in. As you guys could probably see, here running on the background, we're running Elementary OS, the new one, not the one that I completely destroyed. If you haven't seen that video, go check out my video list. You'll notice that one of the previous versions of Elementary OS, Luna, I completely just wrecked it. And now we're going to be looking at Freya, the new release. And we'll be going over all of that. However, the first thing we're going to look at today is the app pick. And the app I want to put most noticeably is Tomahawk. Now, some of you probably have heard of Tomahawk. It's available in almost everybody's repo. And it's like, okay, man, come on, another music player, right? Well, yes, no, maybe so. At the end of the day, Tomahawk has a really interesting feature that I'm going to cover today. So let's go ahead and open up Tomahawk. Click play. There, we'll open it up over here. Okay, so it opens up. The first thing I want to point out that is kind of refreshing with Tomahawk is, when you look at things like Banshee or Rhythmbox, they just feel so 5 years ago in terms of UI. I mean, things today have become so refined, touch-friendly, and I think that's something that Tomahawk really brings out down here to the table. But one of its greatest strengths is if we go here, and then we go to, where is it? Maybe it's in settings. Yep. Configure Tomahawk. So here's the cool part. There's plugins, right? So it looks like if you have any music stored locally, then you'd be able to put that music, attach it straight from there. You can attach it to your Google account. Jabber, it looks like it's kind of mixing up some of the chat clients. But you are able to do things like SoundCloud, Last.fm, Spotify. One that I saw was Google Play Music. So essentially, you can link it to all your different favorite music accounts and have them right here, over here in the playlist, and there you go. That way, because some, like example being, Google Play Music works on every machine, but it's browser based, and some of us are still, that older type that's like, I don't want to deal with the browser stuff quite yet. I still like a dedicated client application. Not to mention, this would really allow you to be able to take your music and keep it in one place, which I think is always the most important thing. So I don't have it attached right now. I'm very cautious because I do have a Google Play where I keep all my music saved. And you got to be careful with it because you can only have up to 10 devices. And you have to call Google if you go over that. And you're allowed to delete some after like a year. But if you're over that limit, then you got to end up calling Google and they'll do a one-time courtesy. But yeah, I mean, Tomahawk is a really awesome application that allows you to connect things, easy controls, and like I said, it's modern looking, which is kind of nice because my favorite used to be Banshee, but these days it's starting to look very dated, and I'm just wondering what the developers over there are doing. Okay. Okay, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Alright, the next topic is I want to talk about something that, how do I put it? It's been bothering me. I'm a member of a Linux community on Facebook, and I won't tell you which one, just not because I don't care if you find me there, but more as not to be improper and, I don't want to throw them under the bus. So there's been a subject in the last 4 months that has come up probably 3 or 4 times, and I've watched 1/3 to 2/3 of our Linux user community respond in the same way that really bothers me. Someone will come on and say, well, Windows made a firewall. How do I configure a firewall for Linux? Where do I go to get started? And 1/3 to 2/3 of the community would respond of, dude, it's Linux, it's secure, you don't need a firewall. My question to them half the time was, do you know what a firewall does, what it's used for? most of them will never respond to me, and people say it's Linux, it's secure, blah, blah, blah. What most people don't realize is 50% of the security in Linux is us, the user itself. We're more well informed, we keep our system up to date, we do things like run a firewall. So in here you can see that I highlighted the set that says in computing, a firewall is a network security system that controls the incoming and outgoing network traffic based on an applied rule set. So essentially, you have a firewall, and every time you do something that requires the internet, packets of information go back and forth. Okay? Not all the packets use the same ports. Example being, your web traffic is going to use port 80, sometimes 81. FTP, which is your file transfer protocol, something like you'd use with FileZilla, is going to go through port 25. SSH is going to go through port 22. All these different things, right? So basically these people say, oh, well, you don't need that. So what, does Linux not work with the internet, or is Linux superior than the internet in itself? The answer is no. The reality is there is a bunch of traffic that is going back and forth, and that it is important that we as a community run firewalls. To give you a good example, Minecraft. I can go right now, I can open up Minecraft, I can get into my world, and without the firewall, with any type of firewall utility installed, I can open to LAN, meaning other people on other computers can then join in, and my son can get on and play with me. Well, that basically means that the Java applets will start talking to each other because there's no firewall to tell them not to. If I install something, like if I go here and type in GUFW, which is the most common firewall utility used on Debian and Ubuntu Linux-based distributions, okay, this actually, by default, will not let Minecraft execute and talk. You actually would have to go in and click on rules, click to add a rule, all applications, and essentially click on, you can either look at what ports is necessary, or honestly these guys do a pretty good job at maintaining everything, so you could just come in here and scroll down to Minecraft, open this, policy allow, blah blah blah, click add, click close, and then the rules are set. Or you can specifically look at what ports and protocols and everything else that Minecraft requires, and then add it manually that way. It also helps to set as public and office have a different set of rules. So if you're out at say McDonald's eating your cheeseburger while surfing the web, set it to public there. On your RPM-based distributions like OpenSUSE and Fedora, they don't support GUFW. They support what's called Firestarter. And most of you guys will probably notice that in the Ubuntu package software center, that people say, oh, Firestarter doesn't work. Actually, it does. The thing about it is you have to lock the firewall all the way down, and then as you start to use services and the services don't work, slowly open the ports on the firewall. But it's actually, in my opinion, superior to GUFW, but GUFW is a little easier to set up, and all of those are available in the software center. So please run a firewall. There's virtually no overhead in a firewall anyway. I don't understand why it's such a big deal. Whether people, it's like running a firewall. If you ever looked at a firewall hardware appliance, like a premium enterprise one, like we use at my work, running pfSense, has like a dual-core processor with like 2-3 gigs of RAM and a little bit of storage. Yet, if you read the specifications, it can support up to like 1.5 million simultaneous connections. You're not killing any overhead by not running a firewall. So let's go. By the way, Tomahawk, I forgot to mention this. If you guys want to go get that application, the one in the Ubuntu Software Center for 14.04 is actually outdated. I wouldn't know about 15.04. It's version 0.7 or whatever, and they're on 0.8.4. I recommend getting the latest, as I've seen people have issues with it. So, big question, right? Elementary OS. You guys notice that I'm running Elementary OS, which you're probably saying, wow, that's a good sign, right? Initially, I was running Ubuntu, and I threw this up into a virtual machine, and I was messing with it, and I was like, to give a proper demo, I need to install this OS. And in turn, I've been really enjoying it. There are definitely some things I need to point out that are some problem areas, and I don't know how long I'll end up staying on Elementary OS. We'll just kind of see, feel it out, because there are some things I'm kind of sitting back going, all right, we'll see. So let's go over to the main part, their new site. They have a new website. I don't know if anyone's heard about it, seen about it. Their bragging point is it's all built on open source software. I guess the previous website had some proprietary. Now, in all fairness, I would also argue that the old website had a really cool video demoing Elementary OS, Luna, but still, whereas this one just kind of has like a picture. Okay, you can come down here. They show this is the default wallpaper with the mountains and the snow. They go over, they cover all their new applications. So that's the gist of it. One of the things, and it got them in, I don't want to say trouble, but people complained about it, was the dollar amount. So here you see the default is $25. You could donate as low as 10, high as 50, or you can set a custom amount. Now, if you're like me and you're like, yeah, I prefer to donate, but I prefer to donate to something I know that's good. I'm not just going to hand you money up front for your best intentions and what effort you applied. So you can click on custom, hit 0, and then click download Freya, and then there you go. You can go 32-bit, 64-bit, whatever, and then it takes you to SourceForge to get the ISO image, which is alright, I guess. I mean, it's not like the worst thing in the world. So basically, people were complaining about, well, the financial, like the fact that 0 is not even an option on the main screen. People are like, whoa, hey, dude, this is not cool. Why is 0 not on there? And it basically responded that they believe that, yes, it's open source software and open source code, but you should have to pay for it. And then some people got angry over that, saying, well, that's cool, but it's not like any of that money's getting put towards the code for upstream. It's not like that money's going and you guys are fixing bugs in Ubuntu. You guys aren't going and developing the Linux kernel. My philosophy is this. There's already enough developers in Ubuntu. In fact, I've been reading a lot of horror articles about developers who try to commit new code to the Canonical team in the Ubuntu community and then get pushed away, even though it's perfectly good code. Linux kernel, anyone can push code to that, but if you didn't notice that through 2013, the Linux Foundation had like 1.5 million lines of code added just in that year. The kernel is obviously, I mean, don't get me wrong, more development's always better, but right now, I think desktop development could have its own arena, and that's what they're doing. But each to their own. Each to their own. I will tell you, though, what that money has done has put food on developers' plates. And what I mean by that is a large chunk of that money goes into bounty. I've heard some arguments where that's not the best way to spend, but, I mean, bounty source, at least, if I commit some code to them, they'll pay me for it as long as it's legit. The other big thing is, I was watching, I think it was on the Linux Action Show, or it was an article I was reading in their blog, something, but Elementary OS has recently hired 2 developers. So some people are getting paid to write open source code. In my opinion, that's great. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love to see them do a little bit more work with Canonical. I would love to see them do a little bit more work with maybe the Linux kernel in the future. The big thing is I don't want to see them turn to another Linux Mint. I'm not bashing on Mint, but Mint has been around for a very long time, has had huge success in terms of a community project, and I don't see them evolving past Linux Mint. So we'll see how that goes. If you head over to their blog, they're actually starting to update it a little bit more frequently. At one point, I'd come over to the blog. It'd be like 3-4 months in between articles. I mean, it's really unacceptable when you're asking people to make a donation. So, yeah. All right. So let's minimize that out for now. So this is the new desktop, the new Pantheon desktop. I mean, it's not that Pantheon's new, but Pantheon has undergone some improvements. So example being the bar up here is completely transparent. There is no more bar. None at all. No bar. It's not there. Application still looks relatively the same. Lots of software I've already added. I've already added quite a bit to this as in itself. You can go down into a list view. So, I mean, Pantheon has seen some updates, but nothing huge, I don't think. I mean, the bars went clear. I could have accomplished that with a tweak in XFCE. But, I mean, it does have a nice touch because, as you see, I have this gorgeous background, and I'm able to see it for all with the exception of some minimal text up here and the tray in itself. It ships by default with Midori, ships with Geary Calendar, which I believe is just the California app available in all of our repos. The music player, which is still looking like X-Noise, I'll open that in a minute. Videos, which I think is just rebadged Totem. Photos, which I think is rebadged Shotwell. The Ubuntu App Center, and then their terminal. So, kind of give a hint, something that they have improved on. It was one of the biggest things people complained about was that in the most of their applications did not integrate into services. So, example, I'd have this cool calendar. I could come and make all these notes in this calendar, but then there was no way for me to really push it to my phone. There was no way to push it to other computers. The cool thing that they've now done, and you can see I already have it attached, but I can go add a calendar. I can hit my Google account and be completely good to go. I then am able to type in events. It will then sync to my Google Calendar, which will then turn around and sync to my phone. And this is really good because, I mean, when you think about it, if you ever used Google Calendar, it's a pretty hideous mess, kind of a pain in the butt because, you know, the web browser is only so advanced. So that's definitely one thing. Let me open that back up. The one thing that's nice is their multitasking view. So we open this up, I can then shoot over to another window and work out of a completely different session, right? And then I can go back, go over here, click in here, and I mean, it's probably one of the most attractive looking multitask switching that I've ever seen. So, close the calendar. Let me give you a peek here at the music. The music player just reminds me of X-Noise. So I think it is just really it's ported X-Noise. Then you have the videos. The videos I think is the new Totem, but the thing about it is it's extraordinarily simplistic. It's very lightweight. It's attractive, and it's really how most video players are, in my opinion, today. I've got Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu. I don't really watch much video on my computer, so when I do, I want a simplistic player. It integrated with all of the proprietary codecs, so I can watch pretty much any video I want through it. And like I said, I mean, it's simple and slick. The photos here, like I said, I think it's shot well with a different spin on it, but I don't know. At times, it looks like it's their own. Okay. So you have that. And then the Ubuntu Software Center. Now, before we start going to the bads, the one thing I did want to show, because to me it's a Alright, so if you guys wondered why there's a sudden like glitch, the issue with Midori, and it's something I don't really care for, is you open Midori and it will bring up like the last page you viewed, which happened to be my external IP address. Really like y'all not to know that, so I had to cut that piece from the clip. But traditionally, if I had not opened Midori yet, this is how the new Midori looks. This is Midori version 0.5.10, I believe. If you go in, yep, 0.5.10. Now, here's the real test. If you guys watched my first video, you probably know that, well, one of the issues I had with Luna was that Midori had Flash. Like, Flash was, you click to install the proprietary codecs in the beginning of the install. So Flash was available on the Linux system, but for some reason Midori wasn't pointed to it. And the reason I had an issue with that, things happen, right? But the elementary OS developers knew about it and they never fixed it. They basically said, hey, there's some good workarounds available on the web. And it's like, hold on, you want me to donate to you, but yet you're wanting me to have to work here? No, thank you. Like, seriously, really, no thank you. So we'll head over here to YouTube, and we'll just play a quick video. And so we'll play on this one here.
Luther, my anger,
and you'll notice that
join me here tonight.
It played flawlessly. It played super flawlessly. So the Flash plugin has actually truly integrated into the operating system or into the web browser now, and it works. which I think is really nice. I mean, if you're going to do that, then make it frickin' work, right? All right. So we'll click out of there. And so the Midori, it's definitely better. I mean, I like Midori. I think Midori's a great web browser. My only issue with Midori is it feels almost Internet Explorer-ish. What I mean by that is it updates so slowly. Firefox and Chrome and Opera, you get your updates like every, 6 to 11 weeks, just depending. And it's phenomenal. Whereas, Midori, I think it's either once every 6 months or once every 12 months it gets an update. It's very much on the slower side of things. Which is a huge deal for me. But it's a good browser. Now let's get down to the downsides. Okay. One more upside. The speed in which this works has been fantastic. It is a truly, really fast system. So right now, we open this up. The CPU's probably under 10%. Memory is about 1.5 gigabytes, but I am screen recording. Traditionally, it's well under a gig. Like, I had my own cloud pulling in software, or not software, but all my data. I had Steam going, and I was at like 850 megabytes. Right? So essentially, it's weird that this is the most elegant desktop I've ever used, and yet it is so flippin' light. It boots in like 10 seconds, and I'm running this on my new laptop, my System 76 Galago Ultra Pro, with a quad-core i7, 8 gigs RAM, 250 gig SSD, and Intel Iris Pro 5200 graphics. Which I know, it's like, well, that's pretty premium hardware, but at the end of the day, KDE, Unity, GNOME, none of them ran this quick, ever. So it's been, like I said, it's been super, super fast. Now let's get to the downsides. There's, I would say, maybe 4 downsides total. One of which is the Ubuntu Software Center. My gripe with this is that the Ubuntu Software Center is a, it's not bad. It's definitely a decent software center, but with what's coming out with Unity 8, essentially the Software Center is going away. So I think, like most people, we're all very interested to see what they're going to do. The other problem is it brings an issue in terms of branding. They have this precise and consistent looking look throughout the entire operating system, and then you go in here, and it's like, wow, this looks nothing that should be fitting in their OS right now. It just doesn't look good, I don't think. The one thing I will give it perks on is that Software Center here actually operates better than it does in Ubuntu. So as an Ubuntu user, you kind of get jealous when you use this because the one for Ubuntu kind of lags from time to time. It will freeze up and then not freeze up. It'll unfreeze itself. Here it doesn't do that. So it's kind of crummy. For Ubuntu, but for Almontroz it's really good. So my next gripe, of course, is the software is a little older. It is 1404. Now, it's not so bad because 1404 just came out a year ago, so the packages are kind of older, but still doable. So, if you really need the latest and greatest, like Tomahawk, for example, you'll have to use a PPA. My next gripe was it's a very stable system, but there is some glitches. There are some bugs that I would expect to get fixed here soon. One of those is if I go in here, right, and let's say I want to take Wireshark. I use Wireshark all the time, right? And I want to click and drag it down here. It will do this glitch where it will actually split my cursor in half, and I'll have 2 cursors, and sometimes the app will sit in the middle, and then it just jacks it up. I've also had that issue with left click. Right-clicking in the wrong places, it'll do that. So there are some bugs that I do find kind of annoying because the only way I've been able to find to fix them is to reboot the machine. Part of being a Linux user is never having to reboot. The final complaint was the lack of software. So I understand they're trying to provide this consistent feeling throughout the desktop, but you need to provide a little bit of everything. So example being, there was no Office Productivity Suite. I know some of you are like, well, dude, that's irrelevant. Yeah, it is, except when you get a younger generation using these and they're in college or they're working in the job where they're still doing like a lot of papers and things like that. An office productivity suite is crucial. And I kind of get where that could be a problem for them, because if they are trying to slowly brand everything under the Elementary OS name, it's not to say they couldn't do that with LibreOffice, but LibreOffice has a lot of GUI to it that would require them to do a lot of work, and they already have a lot on their plate. But you just kind of need to bite the bullet. I'd rather see the inconsistency of LibreOffice in terms of GUI design than to have to go out and get it to install. There's no system monitor, no firewall, there's just all these little tools like I'm searching for that typically would ship in your average distribution. And I know Ubuntu has slimmed some of those out, like Firewall does not ship in Ubuntu, but at least like System Monitor, I was kind of curious, well, how lean is this thing running? And I've never used a distribution with no System Monitor. Honestly, this thing was almost as light as using like Arch Linux. It was pretty bad. So they really need to beef up their software selection. And I understand some of these don't provide the consistency that they're looking for and or wanting, but get over it. Just do it. Get it done. Oh, and the other thing, but it's not a huge deal, it's just personal preference. I have a Ubuntu key on my System 76 laptop. For most of you, it's going to be the Windows key. And normally when you hit it, a search function pops up. There's no search. There needs to be search. And I don't want to go over click, click, click. No, I just want to hit a button, type and I hit enter, and be able to move forward. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of, they've done a lot aesthetically. There's also the what's it called? Your notifications now. They're integrated into almost every aspect of the operating system, right? So, like right now, I could do a sudo app update, right? Let's see if I can do it fast enough, because this thing is going to fly quicker probably than I can do it. Oh, it won't let me minimize it. Crap. That's the other thing that's been kind of an issue, is the minimize function has gone away on most of these. On Luna, I was able to right-click pretty much anywhere and be able to minimize just about anything. On these, not as much. But for whatever reason, if you're able to minimize your terminal or anything, you now get a notification up here. You can also click within that notification to be able to interact with the whatever job is sending you that notification. The other nice thing is that there's some security functions now built into it, for example being the frowning of copy and pasting, because most people don't pay attention to the command they're about to copy and paste. They just copy and paste because someone said that's what you need to use. That was really cool to see. So there's probably about as much wrong with it as there is good. Now, in terms of where do I see Elementary OS going here in the future? Well, for starters, like some of my gripes about the older software packages, Ubuntu's about to replace Aptitude with something called Snappy, I guess. I've just been hearing about for the last couple days. And that would allow essentially developers to be able to post something upstream and it's then available in the repos right away. I'm not sure from a security standpoint how great of an idea that is, but from my understanding, Snappy is supposed to handle all the library issues that could come with that. So I really think the Elementary OS, with their next release, if they are able to integrate Snappy into the picture, we'll be able to get away from the, oh, well, it's Elementary OS, it's always a year behind, blah, blah, blah. Now, the upside is they typically don't like start working on their new versions of their OS until the new release comes about. So, being that, they have right now 12 months of downtime. Elementary OS has talked about building a new app store. And I really think over the next 12 months, they're going to be more focused on physical applications to develop on that platform. So when the next LTS comes out, literally 12 months from this month, 16.04, then they can just start working on the core OS and be able to integrate their new application with no issues. So that's going to be very interesting. A very interesting way to get business done. And I think for me, that's going to fix a lot of my big complaints. I know that there's a little bit of stability issues, but really Freya just came out in like the last week or two, so I'm expecting some of those things to get fixed. So, what's my thoughts? Well, I would honestly give this distro a 9 out of 10. I mean, and it's very impressive, being that the last time I reviewed it was a 4 out of 10. So a 9 out of 10 is a huge leap in bounds. And I'll tell you what, if they can get an app store and some way to push updated applications down sooner, to be honest with you guys, they'd probably get a perfect score. The OS is pretty robust. It's pretty stable, and it's very cosmetically appealing. I don't know what more you could really ask for out of an operating system. But like I said, there's those few things that need to get fixed. In terms of me staying on it, who knows? Right now I'm using it. I didn't feel that virtualization was going to give it the true beauty of how it's going to operate, but after running it for a little while, I'm kind of growing a little attached, just a bit. So we'll see how it does. For next week, so I got this block squared away with my family where I can sit down and do this for an hour and a half. And that includes my edit time and things like that. And if I streamline everything, it'll be real quick to just chop the video and do what I need to do. It will take. So next Sunday we're going to be looking at doing a video. Some of the upcoming topics is I'd like to really review. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's awesome. Let's see, the new Plasma 5 desktop. Let's see if I can find a thing for it. I don't know why they're showing the old one. I got a better one. So the new KDE desktop is definitely going to be a topic. Now, we're not going to review Kubuntu. It will probably be the thing that I will show off, but it'll probably be like my desktop use, but I'm not going to be directly reviewing Kubuntu. I'm going to be reviewing the new KDE 5.3 Plasma, and kind of give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. Check this out. So it kind of gives you a gist. Yeah, it's with the Breeze theme, but it really shows how great KDE's come. I am also wanting to do a demo on how to set up OwnCloud. If you guys haven't heard of OwnCloud, you guys are using Dropbox or Google Drive, or even if you've got OwnCloud running in a DigitalOcean droplet, which is pretty good too. But let's go over some of those system specs, because I bet you got an old tower laying around, or you can find one at your local thrift store. I've been seeing towers lately at Goodwill and all that. They would easily be able to run an Ubuntu server with OwnCloud. Definitely a great way. And then also do one on Plex Media Server and show how you can stream all your home videos throughout your entire house. That'll require a little bit more of a beefy server, but totally worth it. So guys, that's my review for the week. If you guys have any comments, please post them below. I always like to hear what you guys feel about this. What do you guys feel about the new Freya? Let me know.